Now reached the cursed noodle phase. Kind of running out of time. Why is it happening to me? I'm Tamara, I love to knit, which so far has meant hand knitting, but I just inherited a brother knitting machine from a friend of mine who's moving. So I wanted to document a little bit of my journey of learning how to use the knitting machine, and I really want to make a top for my friend before she moves. So I'm kind of on a time crunch, leaving in 1 week, I think 1 week from today. So I want to make a version of this tank top, and I made this one in black. I hope enough navy yarn. If not, I can unravel some other like failed tank top. My goal is to make basically this same tank with just a couple of modifications. So I have no idea how much time this one took me. I want to try to time each piece, see how long it takes me, see how long it takes to seam together, because I don't really have an accurate picture of how long it actually takes to make something on the machine right now. So that's the goal. And I'll stand up to give you more of like a 360 view of this tank. It started from the bottom. It has this fold over picot hem. I'm not doing any bust shaping. I'm just relying on some of the negative ease of the bust. It's in a flat, so I'll start with the back, and I'll start with the picot hem and then finish it with another picot hem on top. And there's no bust or armhole shaping, it's just flat. And then the front half, I'll start with a picot, get to about this distance, and then start doing decreases to get to this front chest width. So for my friend's version, I want to make this a little bit wider, so I'll do fewer decreases, and then finish it again with a picot hem across the front. And then for these straps, I really wanted two things. So I really wanted there to be a picot hem edging along each side, and then I also wanted them to get a little bit wider at the top versus the bottom. And the reason for that is this is sort of copying a little bit the silhouette of my hand knitting pattern called Thine Own. And I just think it looks really pretty and like feminine and a little bit princessy. The way that I'm going to do that, since I want to be able to have a picot edge on each side, that it has to be knitted horizontally. So I need to cast on the full length of the strap and then get this wedge shape with short rows. For the version that I'm making my friend, I also am going to try adding a curved front hem. So this is something that I've done on several of my knitting patterns so far. The reason I really like this is when you wear jeans, often they'll cut in at the natural waist here, but actually sort of dip down a little bit in the front, and that can show your belly button if you're wearing a crop top that's straight across. So I find that knitting to hit my natural waist on the sides, but then having about 1 to 2 inches of a curved front hem lets me like accentuate my waist here, but then actually gives more coverage in the front. And I also think it sort of gives a little bit like princessy, corsety vibes, I guess. So that is what I'm gonna try to do. We'll see how it works out. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of math to figure out how often I need to turn for the short rows here. But that is the plan. And I'll take you along with me to make it along the way. Let's see how it goes. So I'm at 18 minutes and 40 seconds so far, but I just realized I'm definitely gonna run out of this yarn. So I just got to the point on the top, I did the curved front hem, and I just got to the point where I'm going to start doing some decreases to get from the full bust width to the front chest width. So I think right now I'm going to start unraveling my tank that I had previously made with the navy yarn that just didn't fit right. And I might soak that to try to get some of the kinks out of the yarn, and then I think I'm gonna try to re-spool it on this cone. I had a thought to try to use this thing that came with like the big yarn haul that I got from my friend. It's called a nitty natty, but I just looked it up online, and all of the examples that I've been able to find look like this. This one does not have that rotation, and I watched a video on how to do it, and rotation seems important. So I've been trying to see if this like pulls apart or something. Oh, okay. That does not sound like you're supposed to be doing that, but okay, I just fixed it. Okay, so we've now reached the cursed needle phase. This one I just did by hand. This one I did on the Nitty Naughty, and that is the actual length of a hank. And this one is just a goofy little half hank. It's a new day. Oh my God, I almost just dropped that in my coffee. We have dry yarn. Now I need to watch a YouTube video on how to wind it up onto the cone. This person's using an electric drill, which I don't have. So we're just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, why did this actually work so well? So I guess we'll find out when I actually try to use it if this worked. I also feel a little bit worried. This has just been hanging here for a day while I sorted out all of these yarn issues. So that doesn't stretch it out too much. I mean, I guess it will. So we're gonna find out. And I also haven't been timing all of this yarn stuff because I really wanted to see how long does it just take me to knit something on the machine, assuming that I have like the yarn set up, because this is sort of a whole separate issue. So I'm gonna start my stopwatch again. I had started off camera doing some decreases for the front width of the shoulder. So let's keep doing that. I'm only doing it on the rows that go this way. So I need to do a decrease this row. Let me just use my little clip to weight this tail down. This works really well, by the way. The friend who gave me this machine recommended adding this little just like binder clip, paper clip thing to the yarn tail when you just need to weight it down. Otherwise, the tension arm or whatever it's called will like fling it everywhere. So I'm doing decreases only when I go this way for 24 rows, and I'm on row 14. So I'll show you what that looks like if you're curious. So here's the little transfer tool. So you can move 3 stitches at once. So I'm gonna go 4 stitches in. That's the stitch that I'm going to transfer to its neighbor. So that's knitting 2 together, and then I just need to move these 3 stitches in. Push back the one on the edge because that one is no longer going to be knitted because we just reduced by 1. Looking at myself thinking, now I know why my back hurts so much. God, I feel like I need to find a hobby that does not involve my shoulders and neck like crunching up. I need to do like Irish step dancing or something that only involves my lower body. Awesome, so we've done the armhole shaping. I'm at 30 minutes so far on this front panel, not including all the yarn stuff. Now I need to combine every stitch over with its neighbor because I'm gonna do a picot hem on the top. Okay, that brought us to 12. Something funky is going on right here. I think that one of them got stuck on the peg. Pop that and get it off. And now I'm gonna cast off with waste yarn. So this is what I've been using as my waste yarn. I'm not really into yellow on me. So I don't think I'll end up using it that much myself. So take out the yarn I was using and cut it. I feel like all of these things will just get faster the more I do them, for sure. All right, that seems like enough for me. I see people do like huge amounts of waste yarn, but I just find that kind of a pain because you have to tear out way more. And now I'm just gonna support this with my hands and go over across the machine without any yarn in it. No yarn is fed through. And that will just cast off all the stitches. They're just gonna be loose stitches still, which is why it's nice to use a waste yarn for this, because then you don't have to worry about any of your stitches like unraveling. This is the picot hem we just did. We'll fold over and get sewn down. And then we have a little bit of armhole shaping. And it's definitely wider, which is good. That's what I wanted. Let me stop the timer. Okay, so I'm at 40 minutes so far for this panel. Kind of feels like a lot, but then I think about it and I'm like, 40 minutes to knit this in this gauge, that is really fast. All right, it's definitely a little bit wider than that. It's cotton, so if it's too big, you should probably throw it in the dryer. So I'm gonna move forward with this. All right, I'm gonna do the back next. We're doing the back now. I like to write out all of my steps like a little checklist. Like I basically give myself a pattern step by step because I think it can be kind of easy to forget like what is the next thing that you're supposed to be doing. So for the back, cast on 1/16. So I was casting off with waste yarn and for some reason just the very ones in the ends did not catch it. So I just put them back on with a transfer tool. And now I need to undo this row to get the navy stitches back on the needle. Here's how to undo. So I'm gonna take it out of the feeder and you just kind of pull it up and that will slip it back to where it's supposed to go. So I'm just gonna take this off. So if you go to CR, it lets you just detach it. Put it back over here and put it back to an L, and it seems like I put it on correctly. And, oh, this came out of the tensioner. Maybe that was part of the problem. And let's try again. What the hell? Why is this happening to me? All right, whatever. I don't know why that didn't catch. I'm just gonna cast off like this because that's gonna be such a pain to put it back on. So, whoops, don't know what went wrong there. I'm gonna like seam this hem down anyway, so it's honestly fine. That's not a big deal. Let me pause it. So now I'm at 56, so I'm at about 1 hour of working on this top. So I have the front panel, the back panel. The back panel took way less time because the front panel had the armhole shaping and then short rows, and those just like take more manual manipulation. So I need to seam these together and then I need to do the 2 straps, and the straps are gonna be also with short rows. Okay, well, the coloring looks insane right now, but when I said in my craft room makeover video that I wanted warm lighting, I clearly went full warm. Anyway, I've got the 2 pieces now. I gotta get back to work because I really just have a couple days to finish this top. So I'm now going to work on the straps. I wanna just do that before I seam because, I don't know, I kind of wanna know how long it takes me to do all of the machine side of it separately from how long it takes to seam, because I was kind of trying to think about it and I'm like, does machine knitting just mean that I like spend all of my time seaming? And I'm not sure, because normally I knit a lot of things in the round, so I don't actually do a lot of seaming normally. And also this gauge is so dense that like it takes more time to seam carefully because it's like such tiny stitches. So I guess the way that I did it the first time, I basically did it in like 2 short row wedges. So one of the wedges, I make it go shorter each time, and then I make it go wider again each time. Okay, we've got a little pattern for the straps. I'm definitely worried that I'm gonna run out of yarn on the straps, and I really don't wanna have to make them narrower. So we'll see. Okay, I just cast off the second strap. I ended up using some black yarn for the fold over picot parts, the part that will be hidden underneath the strap because you can't see it anyway. But I actually finished with this much navy yarn, so that's not so bad. But I have my current timer is at 1 hour 45 minutes. But the straps took longer than I thought because they have picot edges and short rows. So those both just like take more time versus like back and forth without any shaping goes a lot faster. So 1 hour 45 minutes in, and next I will time how long it takes to seam them. Okay, so the timer somehow got deleted after I finished seaming this up, but I remember it was at about 2 hours and 30 minutes. I've also been using like little blocking T-pins to pin the hems as I go, because that just helps like kind of keep things straight. So I'm gonna keep going. I have this little like USB portable lamp that's really nice for seaming things because it just gives you like a more concentrated, makes me think of being at a library or something. But anyway, so I'm gonna keep going. I still need to finish seaming the top of the front and then all of the straps, and then seam together the front and the back and seam the straps down. And I'm trying to give this to my friend tomorrow. So kind of running out of time. So let's see. Okay, I just finished seaming the top of the front of the top. 25 minutes. Now I'm gonna seam together the sides, and I'm going to do mattress stitch for that. I'm having a little bit of trouble lining these up, I think because I had this one hanging on the machine for so long. Its row gauge is a little bit looser, so that's annoying, but I'm just gonna do my best to kind of roughly, I don't want there to be like puckering, so that's why I'm kind of trying to pin it together. Okay, here's the pile of all the ends snipped off. This is how much yarn I am finishing with. So I really cut it close, and honestly, I'm glad I did some of the insides of the straps with black yarn just to make sure that I had enough to seam so it wouldn't be visible. And here's the top. I found a gauge, ended up being a little bit bigger than expected, so I needed to put it in the dryer to shrink it a tiny bit because it's 100% cotton. And then I just used these books to flatten down the straps. So let me try it on and show you the end result. So the top is done, and the final tally, 5 hours and 20 minutes. So the vast majority of that was all just seaming, right? Like I think just under 2 hours, that was purely knitting on the machine. And most of the time that was taken up knitting was doing short rows and picot, where you have to like manually adjust things. So I definitely think that as I use the knitting machine more, I know that there's way faster ways to seam things. You can like put things on the bed and knit them together and things like that. I didn't want to mess with that for this top because I was on such a short deadline that I wanted to just go with what I knew would work so that I didn't like mess things up and waste the very small quantity of yarn that I had, like screwing things up. I have to say, I mean, with the gauge that this is, that would probably take, I never time how long things take me by hand, but it would take like dozens of hours for sure, in terms of like knitting at this tight of a tension with cotton yarn. So overall, there's no way that I would have been able to make this top for a friend in less than a day, all told, if I didn't have the knitting machine. So I'm really grateful for having that, and it was really fun to time this and see how long it actually took me. It definitely reflected what I felt, which was like the majority of the time that I was spending was just seaming. So there you have it, but with all skills, things get faster with more time. So I'm excited to share some more knitting machine projects with you. I have some really cool ideas of like design ideas that have just been in my head for a while that I haven't been able to prioritize with hand knitting. So I'm hoping that interspersing with a little bit of machine knitting, since it goes faster, will be a fun way to, I don't know, experiment more. So I'm just wearing this right now to show it off, but I'm gonna change and give this to my friend today. So hopefully it fits her, fingers crossed. Thanks so much for coming along with me on this little experiment slash journey. I'm curious, have you ever used a knitting machine before? Do you have any interest? I know that some people are like only interested in one versus the other, but I feel like there's a lot of overlap between machine knitting and hand knitting, so I'm excited to use both. If you're not a subscriber and you're interested in this or hand knitting projects, I'd love if you join me again. I'll see you next time. Bye.